Hello everybody and welcome. My name is Brian of Pheasants County and I'm glad you could join me again today for what will probably end up being our last episode of our Lineage playthrough. So for those of you who might not remember, we are currently in the middle of doing a actual play of the solo lineage building, genealogy building game of Lineage. And using it in combination with the unofficial fan expansion about Golden and Dark Ages. The links of which, of course, are in the doobly-doo down below, as usual. So, as we left off last time, let's see, we have our city-state, right, which things have been going well, and then things kind of fell apart, right? So just to review things that have happened before, I'm going to flip over here to this map. So we started off with our single city-state here in blue of Paamus, and things were going pretty well to begin with. We ended up becoming sort of a suzerain of the city of Talisa next door, and we were actively competing with this city-state over here, which I named Atuna, right? And Atuna has kind of ended up becoming a suzerain of their own of the city of Solin. So we've kind of ended up in a competition with one another. However, relationships with Talisa ended up falling apart because the family lines ended up breaking apart, so that they were being ruled by a different family line than our own. And then they kind of combined together, and then they broke apart again, and so, yeah, lots of things ended up happening with that. And in the last two monarchs in particular, things have kind of fallen apart, to the point where, as you can see up here, we are going to, if the reign of every single monarch from here on out, we're going to be rolling on the descent and fall tables. Our dynasty is... the reputation of our dynasty has been damaged to the point where there's a very good chance that it might end up collapsing because of outside actors acting against the monarchy because of the fact that it has such a bad reputation. In particular here, we are considered extremely unstable, an unstable monarchy. So we will see what happens with that. And we're also, our dishonor is not doing so hot either. When last we left off, we had, so in the last episode, we started off with Hiila the Terrible, who did not rule for very long. Ended up only having two kids, right? And ended up dying pretty early. Then the monarchy was inherited by Liu the Second the Impaler, who also pretty severely damaged the reputation of our dynasty, and died without any heirs. In fact, they ended up basically murdering their wife, and they never got remarried. And their brother was their co-ruler, but I went ahead and rolled to see if their sibling was going to have any children, and we basically decided that their sibling wasn't going to end up having any children either. Which means that now we are going to utilize the bit of the rules that takes a look at princely houses. Now, for those of you who might not be familiar with this term, princely houses, usually a princely house, or you could consider them cadet branches, was a term that was usually used to refer to basically spurs, branches off of the primary royal family. So in this particular case, we have Hiila the Terrible and their children, right? These two already died in the rebellion against Liu the Brave. This Fisa is this Fisa over here, so it can't inherit across that way. So we're only left with one possible family line that could be inheriting from this, at least at the moment. So this would be children of Prince Liu over here, who was the younger sibling of Hiila. Now, this generation here will be the same generation of Liu the Second the Impaler and Baimo over here, Baimo the co-ruler over here. And then our current monarch, our next monarch, will be this person right here, which actually I'm going to go ahead and change the color of their flag so we know who they are. But so the way the rules of princely houses work in Lineage is that it's generally assumed that for each generation you move away from a monarch, there is a chance that something happened. Something has changed. Their life path very, very, very rarely would follow your standard life path of a monarch in the game, so you need a roll to decide what exactly it was they were doing, to see if maybe that further hurts the reputation or boosts the reputation of the family, or stuff like that. So, to do this, just like a lot of the other tables, we roll 2 6-sided dice. Remember, this is a 6-6 roll, so we don't add them together. The red die will decide our table, and the blue die will decide what the result is on that table. And we, maybe. I guess I'm going to need to get out a different one. All right, we have a 4 and a 6. So a 4 and a 6 means that this person right here, this prince, had a reputation for being gluttonous. Gluttonous. There we go. All right. Now I need to roll again for the second generation separated from a monarch. And this time we rolled a 5 and a 3. Which means, so the result for 5 and 3 says that this person lost their eye in a bet. Let's give this person a name. Let's call them Hiila the One-Eyed. And this person is going to be the parent of our actual monarch. Instead, we need to go ahead and hop up to the very beginning of our book again, where we roll for our cognomen. So again, remember, cognomen is the regnal name, or like a nickname that helps describe, kind of like what we just did with Liu the Gluttonous and Hiila the One-Eyed. So we have a 5 and a 3, and a 5 and a 3. Okay, so our ruler is going to be named the Unfortunate. Hopefully they will not actually be that unfortunate, but we will have to see. All right, and we need, of course, to give them a name. I'm just going to reuse Hiila again, because we haven't actually used that for a monarch. So we'll jump down here. So again, because we have Hiila the Unfortunate, now we're going to roll their potential spouse. We have a 6 and a 4. 6 and 4 connects to... okay, so 6 and 4 means that our spouse, this character's spouse, is a foreign monarch. No, sorry, a close relative. Known for intrigue. Now, unfortunately, because of the roll that we just got, we need to add +1 to our instability. Again. So it's even higher. There's got to be a limit to how high it can go. There's got to be. Something's got to trigger. Alright, now, again, we're going to roll for heirs. This time we're going to roll our 2d6 added together, subtract 1d6. So we rolled a 5 minus 4. So we have 1 heir. 5 minus 4 equals 1. Alrighty, we get 1 heir. Alright, we need a name for the spouse. Let's go with Galen. Alright, so we need to roll the number of events that we have. So we're going to roll 2d6 and then subtract 2 for marrying and being crowned. All right, so we're going to have 1, 2, 3, 4. So let's see, we have 10 minus 2. So we're going to have 8 events. The way that we decide the things with the golden, the events, what the events are, with the golden and dark ages thing, is we draw cards. So we need 8. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8. Alrighty, let's see what we got. So our first card is the 9 of Hearts. Oh, wait, I just remembered. Were we in a Dark Age? Yes, we are in a Dark Age. Okay. So, which means there's a Dark Age negative event that we're going to be doing for each of these unless we end up switching. So the 9 of Hearts says, with declining loyalty, many nobles have started to turn to other lieges. How might we gain their loyalty back? And this makes sense after all the stuff that happened last time. Okay. So this is probably might be in relationship with the protests and uprisings that happened under this person's parent. Our next card is the 4 of Spades. So we go all the way back to the beginning. Oh, that's clubs. The 4 of Spades reads, Betrayal. A group of nobles have gathered to go and join another kingdom. How do we punish such betrayal, or do we let them get away with it and potentially inspire more such acts? Oh, this isn't looking good. Okay. For our next event, we have the 8 of Diamonds. A vassal has started calling themselves by a high-ranking title and is asserting their own authority. How do we respond to this clear act of treason? Jeez Louise. All right. Our next card, because I'm just going to keep going and just get all these on the page and see what happens. Our next card is the King of Clubs. All right, clubs is at the beginning. The King of Clubs reads, Weakness and instability has led to many nobles and peasants rising up to try to overthrow the monarch and crown one of their own. What do we do? I get the impression that a number of these kind of tie together. So we probably have, just to brainstorm for the moment, until we figure out what else is happening. We have multiple groups of multiple groups of nobles that seem to be splitting off and going their own way. So we probably have some nobles who might be leaving Paamus for Talisa. But we also probably have, if you might recall, 1 or 2 episodes ago, 2 or 3 episodes ago, one of the things that started the conflict with Atuna in the city-state of Solin, our neighbor, was some of the nobility got overthrown over there, and some of them came to us and ended up kind of settling in our own lands. So it's possible that some of those nobles are either returning or are taking the lands that we have given them in Paamus and switching allegiances to whoever currently is the monarch of Solin. In addition, and probably in response to that, that's why there is this noble that's probably native to our lands who gave themselves a higher title, like maybe protector or not necessarily monarch, but then other people started rallying around them and saying, no, you shouldn't call yourself this, you should actually be the monarch. And so that's kind of gaining support and potentially turning into a rebellion. But we'll see. Our next one is the 8 of Clubs, which reads, our military is weak and one of our more powerful neighbors has began demanding tribute. Do we fight or pay up? Oh boy. 7 of diamonds. Many of our distant nobles have declared themselves independent. So this independence... Okay, so we have a noble who gives themselves an upgrade, let's say. A bunch of people start throwing their support behind them. But that noble doesn't want to overthrow us, so instead they declare independence in their own region. That could work. Our next card is the 3 of clubs. The 3 of clubs reads, famines, falling stars, and earth tremors shake the belief of the people in our right to rule them. How do we respond to these events? Okay, so natural disaster seems to show our loss of the mandate. How do we respond to this loss of our mandate? Oh boy. Well, forget losing a mandate. We've pretty much lost everything by this point. With nobles going to either kingdom and other outside kingdoms demanding tribute and this rebellion and... All right, the last event that we have is the 10 of diamonds. Kind of hard to have a mandate if everything's falling apart. Religious intolerance has spread far and wide in the realm. The monarch is now pressed to react and to decide if the current path should be walked or if another way of handling religious minorities exists. So we have these events. That's all great and everything. But now we have to roll on the decline and fall table. Because obviously, depending upon what we end up rolling there, all of this could be a moot point. Or it could wrap everything up in a neat little tidy bundle. So this is basically a special event that's going to happen because we are so unstable. So I'm going to go ahead and roll. We roll 1d6. That's all we get. Oh my. Okay. And there's also decline, fall, and death. This is all going to wrap up into one. So here we go. Filled with rage and with fear, the monarch, seeing enemies all around them and falling to hopelessness, orders the gates of the palace to be sealed, shutting everyone inside before they proceed to light the whole thing ablaze. Everyone dies within. This has gotten really dark. But unfortunately, that's the way that these families have a tendency to end. Okay. So, Hiila the Unfortunate. We have this poor person who was placed onto the throne, several generations removed from the monarchs, after several generations of really bad monarchs. And there's just nothing they can do to put the pieces back together. And everything just ends up disintegrating. All right. Well, at the very least, we can break down exactly what happens here with these events. So, nobles are turning to other monarchs. Group of nobles have betrayed us for another kingdom. So, we're going to say these two events here. So, for this one, we have nobles from Solon returning home. We have nobles from Talisa who are... we have nobles on the border with Talisa. Turning against us. Sorry, no, not a monarch, a noble. It's claiming to be not a monarch, but rather instead, not a clod, which was the title we were giving our monarchs, but instead something else. I don't want to say they're probably... I'm thinking it might be something kind of like along the lines of, in ancient Japan where you had the emperor, but then there was a shogun underneath them. Maybe something along those lines, but obviously not using those titles. So maybe not regent, but like protector. So they're claiming to be like a protector of the realm or something. So the protector is getting lots of support. Okay. So we have Talisa is trying to exert tribute from us. But Hiila refuses. And the protector also resists. So for this, I guess what I will say is Talisa forces us to pay tribute. So the protector and their supporters declare a new state. Because remember, we're talking about city-states, so not that big. So they basically have declared a new city-state in a different part of the territory that is basically Paamus. Famines continue due to the chaos. I'm not going to even touch this religious intolerance stuff because there's just way too much stuff going on as it is. Maybe a new movement is starting to the collapse of Paamus. Maybe, so the protector and their supporters, they decided to declare a new state. Maybe they also left and founded a new city. So, like, for example, if we go up here to the map, maybe here we were, like, on this river. Maybe they left and, like, went over here and started a new city or something, or moved to an adjacent territory or something and started a new city. Here we'll say Hiila feels abandoned and gives up as the forces of the protector and Talisa march on what is left of Paamus. Oh, man. So basically what we have here is not just the end of a dynasty. It's the end of an entire city. Basically, Paamus is being wiped off the map. Wow. All right. Well, unfortunately, that's the end of our dynasty. So, thank you very much, everybody, for watching. Sorry to kind of end on that very dark, sad, little moment there, but that's generally the way I've found that Lineage games work. Either you end up going and things are great, and then your family just kind of dies out just because not enough people are having kids at the right time, or things really go down in flames. In this case, literally in flames. All right. Anyway, thank you for joining me today. I'm glad that you could watch this, and hopefully you enjoyed the actual play we've done so far of Lineage. I have some ideas kind of moving into the future of other actual plays, taking a look at quick looks at other games, especially since the Caltrip Core Jam recently just wrapped up, and there were lots of really good games in that I'd like to at least take a look at and kind of explore a little bit, show off to you guys, show off to all of you. Also, thinking of here in the very near future making a couple more videos that kind of take a look at my own games. I mean, I have a couple that I have released that take a look at Staguk Roleplay and Joseon, but I haven't really done anything taking a look at any of my solo games, or I just recently released Run Villain Run. I might potentially take a look at that one. And also, finally, last but not least, I've been thinking about potentially basically taking some of my old blogs entries and turning them into videos to potentially make them a bit more accessible to a wider audience who either don't necessarily have the time to sit down and read one of my blogs, or, I don't know, just aren't really necessarily interested in that. Might be more interested in something explained a bit more visually and verbally, let's say. But anyway, thank you for joining me, and hopefully, please keep an eye out for that. Take a look. Again, you can find me on Twitter under Hesan Young D. You can find the blog at hessenscounty.com. Or, of course, I also have my own itch store, again, under the username of Hesan Young D. Just take a look. You can find me there. Again, in the doobly-doo down below, you'll find links to all of that. The coffee that I have to kind of help. 100% of any money that I get for coffee is just going to go straight into buying role-playing games with the idea of using them for here or on the blog or doing reviews or otherwise compensating people who kind of help me out with stuff like this. So any money that you could pitch my way for that, or buying games or whatever, it really is a great help. Again, one more time, thank you very much for joining me, and please have a good zone.